Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports. We're your hosts, Zach and Jake Gardner, and we have our Hockey Week 19 prep coming at you. We got we got surprises and storylines of the week, injury news, Slump Busters, buy low and sell high trades, and of course, scoop 'em up. So, wow, Jake, that sure sounds like a ton of fun.
Yeah, dude. When you put it like that, with that incredible excited tone,
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, dude.
So, yeah, I'm your host, Zach Gardner, and joined today, as always, by my partner in crime and other things besides crime, Jake Gardner.
What does that even mean, dude?
I don't know.
These guys just want to hear about fantasy hockey. They don't want to hear about that shit.
That didn't land like I intended.
Yeah,
not at all.
I don't know where you thought I was going to land.
So, yeah, if you can handle our really terrible jokes, at least my really terrible jokes,
speak for yourself.
Let's actually start talking some hockey. My goodness, what an intro. Was not scuffed at all. Okay.
My God.
Going into fucking surprises of the week.
Jesus Christ.
Michael Bunting, 20.25 fantasy points, 2 goals, 5 assists in 4 games.
He was a grab last week, right?
We've been talking about him as a grab, kind of throughout this whole season. Random, I can't remember what weeks, but he's been, making our scoop him up list a few times.
Okay.
Not a ton of peripheral stats though. Like he doesn't do a ton of like hits and blocks or anything like that. So he's worth a look in some deep scoring leagues as long as he's getting that power play time and that first line time with Austin Matthews.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also kind of having a resurgent at least couple weeks, Zach Parise, 20 fantasy points, 3 goals and 3 assists in 4 games. And also not a guy that puts up a ton of peripheral stats, at least in this stage of his career. He used to be like a more physical defensive kind of player, but not so much anymore. And he's just getting older, so he doesn't play that way much anymore. But, possible streamer. He's on a little scoring streak right now, so maybe if you need some points at the end of the week, maybe he'd be worth a nice little ad. And then lastly, big surprise, Cole Coffield.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's the guy.
18.75 fantasy points this week. 2 goals, 4 assists in 4 games. Definitely worth an ad in most leagues, for sure. He's getting top line, top power play right now, and he's doing a shit ton with it. And he's a young guy. He's everything you want in a fantasy pickup. So this might be my top scoop of the week. We'll talk about that more when we get there at the end of the episode. So hopefully you stay tuned, everybody. And we're going to move on to some storylines. So there's not a ton of actual NHL news to talk about this week. So I just got a couple fun things for us to talk about just to fill some time. So my first little thing, we're going to be this is basically the Cole Caufield episode. That might be the title of this one. But big storyline, Cole Caufield. Is he going to be a second half stud once again? I'll just let you take this one, Jake. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. No, we talked about him last week as a potential guy that you had to have a quick trigger on to grab because they started giving him those minutes and they said they're fully invested in the young core. So, I mean, yeah, it's the rest of the way because they're giving him all those minutes. There's no like, oh, if he has one bad game, he's done,
Yeah. I think I totally agree. That's exactly what we said last week, and then he proceeded to have another great week. So definitely, I hope you guys were quick on the trigger, like I was not, sadly, and we're able to get him because it looks like he's going to pay some big dividends. And you don't usually find a pickup this late in the season that can potentially do what he can do. So I'd be very excited about picking him up if you were able to last week.
Yeah, well, I got Cole Caufield and you got Evander Kane. So
yeah,
we split on the big names, the big pickups.
Yeah, so it all works out, I guess. Yay us.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my god.
but I definitely think he's going to be a second half stud. So if you were able to get him, good on you. That's a great move. Could definitely help you win a championship for sure. Moving on to our next one, we just want to talk about this. We're recording this on Sunday. Just yesterday, Saturday, there was a very high scoring Toronto Maple Leafs Detroit Red Wings game. Maple Leafs won it in regulation 10-7. They had a last second field goal to win it, so luckily they were able to come away with the victory.
My god. Yeah, good football team.
Yeah, good football teams. The Canadian Football League, very fun to watch.
Yeah, didn't we know that these teams had horrible goalies though? Just
now, Jack Campbell's been a top 5 goalie this whole year. He's, but I was mentioning I was mentioning a little while ago that he was getting tired from getting all the starts.
Okay.
Looks like it finally caught up with him. He hasn't been great the last few weeks, Jack Campbell, but he started the year as one of the top goalies.
Yeah, he's number 10 right now. But yeah, no, he's been bad the past
couple weeks, 3 weeks maybe.
2 weeks. Yeah, just 2. Okay. Yeah, I thought he was worse than he was. He's good.
Definitely the Red Wings goalie we kind of knew weren't that great, both goalies. So, just kind of is what it is. Yeah.
For sure.
Not really a surprise there. But, so that was just kind of a fun game to watch if you happen to watch it. Very action-packed. You don't get a lot of those all the time.
Okay.
So now we'll move on to everyone's favorite segment, injury news.
Okay.
So I'm just going to scroll down the list here and look for anything that I think might be fantasy relevant. And so far, not finding much. Chicago Blackhawks, Jonathan Taves, still on IR. No news with his concussion, so that doesn't sound great. Zach Warrenski on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Day to day doesn't have any comment on what it is. I think it's lower body injury that he has. Hopefully he'll be back soon because Columbus is starting to really put up some points, and Warrenski was getting he's been getting the first line, first power play all year, and he's been really an underrated defenseman this year. And right as they're starting to click, and Patrick Laine is just going the hell off on the power play, Warrenski gets hurt. It's just kind of terrible timing. I hope he can get back in there quick. And then Alexander Texier on Blue Jackets, still a few weeks away from returning. That's kind of the latest update on IR. A couple weeks away. That's their top center when he's playing, so kind of a big injury there. And then on the Detroit Red Wings. Ooh, this is some good news. Jacob Vrana. Kind of a sleeper guy that I had picked for this year, but I knew he was starting the season injured, so I don't think I talked much about him, but he's quietly, I have had him on my watch list all season because I'm waiting for him to come back because he's going to get top power play time for Detroit, and I think he's going to be pretty good if he can play, but he started taking contact in practice. There remains no timetable for his return, but taking contact, I would take that to mean maybe he's like a week or two away from playing. So definitely start putting Vrana on your interested in or on your watch lists. Be waiting for the news when he's going to start playing because he should be a guy that should be added at that time.
Okay.
And scrolling down the list here, Byron.
They get heavy.
Paul Byron on the Montreal Canadiens, placed on injured reserve Saturday. I mean, he's a decent player. That's fringe fantasy relevant there. That's a deep league news for you. I love scrolling through this. Yeah, so that appears to be okay. Erik Karlsson on the San Jose Sharks with his forearm injury. He's going to remain out for at least 2 more weeks. So be paying attention to that because if somebody dropped him, he might be worth a nice little stash right now. If somebody didn't have patience or had too many injuries spots and had to get rid of somebody,
Okay.
Go check if Carlson's available because he was doing great when he was playing like the first quarter of the season. So, just check if he might be on your waivers and pick him up right now. Put him on your IR spot if you have a free one. That'd be a cheeky little move.
Yeah, cheeky as fuck for sure.
And then Seattle Kraken, Phil McCracken on the Kraken.
Oh my god.
Jared McCann on the Kraken was placed on injured reserve Thursday with an undisclosed injury. He will not play Thursday in Boston. Looks like he's going to miss a couple weeks there. That's their number one center, their highest scorer, their leading scorer. So I'm expect the shitty Kraken to be even shittier over the next few weeks for sure. My God.
Nice.
And then that appears to be all your injury news.
And I did have a storyline I read about Zach.
Oh, okay.
There was talk that that Nashville is shopping Philippe Forsberg. And I couldn't believe it, but they're shopping the superstar. There was like an article that came out this week.
The only player that's keeping them
yeah, good.
Is
he like at the end of his prime? I guess.
No, he's right in the middle of his prime. He's 28. He's got
I didn't think he was that old.
No, he's young. That's their best player, man. That's like their franchise player. He's
only 27.
Him and Roman Josi are like.
Yeah, it was just 2 days ago. NHL rumor.
Well, they'd get a shit ton in return. So I don't know, and he'd go to a contender. Watch him go to Vegas. Like Vegas just gets a superstar team.
St. Louis, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, could be. I don't know. Got to keep monitoring that one for sure. I mean, it doesn't really affect fantasy because he's going to be great whether he stays on Nashville or is on another team. So I don't think him getting traded would really affect fantasy all that much. He'd still be doing what he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just kind of an interesting storyline for sure. I don't know why they would. Why they would do that unless they're expecting they could get a shit ton of picks and some good players in return for that.
Yeah, unless they just want to blow it up,
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you don't usually see a team trade away their best player who's still in his prime. It's not like he's 33, and having a good year. It's kind of weird. Yeah. That's definitely one to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we'll move on to Slump Busters now.
Hell yeah.
A lot of busted slumps this week.
Yeah, I'd say so. I added some.
Yeah, so it's because this is the Cole Coffield episode, we're going to start it off with Cole Coffield. 10 points in 8 games since his return to the big club. Let's just, slow clap for Cole Coffield. And if anybody that was patient on him, you're finally, if you did hold on to him this whole, which I don't think anybody did because he was in the AHL, so whoever had him on the roster was not getting nothing from him for months. Mm-hmm. But if you had him on your watch list and you were able to get him back on your team, looks like he's going to have a great second half here. And then Elias Patterson, maybe the hottest player in the NHL over the last 15 days. 10 points in his last 4 games, 13 points over his last 7 games on a heater of all heaters. This guy was having it's crazy. It's the best of both worlds here with Patterson because he was on the biggest slump from the beginning of the year up until like 2 weeks ago. And this 2-week period, Jake, where he's averaging like almost 8 points, has got his average up to a nice robust 3 in our league. That's how much of a slump he was in to start the season. So
wow.
Yeah, but he looks like the player that everyone thought he could be. Finally now everything's clicking for him. He's doing it all. So if you were hanging on to him, you definitely benefited from that.
Sure.
And then Beau Horvath, 3 goals his last 2 games. From the other guys on the Slump Buster list, not as much scoring. But I just think him scoring 3 goals his last 2 games, looking like it may be the start of some kind of breakout. If you want to get in on that early, this is definitely a prediction from me. It's not like he's actually busted out of a slump just yet. But I think I might be predicting when you can call me Nostradamus. But,
oh my God.
Yeah, I think if you want to get in on the next one, I think it could be Beau Horvath. So just let's see if I'm right here next week. And then Nick Schmaltz, 9 points in his last 8 games. It is on Arizona, so, proceed with caution. But 9 points in 8 games, just forget what team he's on. That's good. That's good numbers. So at the very least, I think you could pick this guy up for a streaming option. But definitely a busted slump. He's kind of had a crap year this year compared to last year. So, and then Jordan Binnington. 7.25 points in our leagues in our league on the 22nd, and then 12.5 points today as we recorded. Yeah. Finally, some positive numbers. He's been getting negative the last 3 weeks he's been playing games. So good to see him put 2 good starts together in a row. Maybe get him some confidence. Maybe you can definitely, I know he's had a terrible last month or 2 before this. So definitely proceed with caution with him. But could be considered for a pickup, I think, for sure. You'd have to really think on it. And then
I grabbed him.
You motherfucker. Zach, contain yourself. It's okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then Jacob Chikrin, 2 assists last game. A goal and an assist so far in the game right now.
Yeah,
so
only 11 minutes in right now.
Looks like he's on putting a little point streak back together here. We'll see, maybe he can start putting something together and
they'll trade him.
Maybe they'll trade him to a contender and he'll be putting up great numbers. Be looking at that.
Hold on, that might have been, he only played 11 minutes that day. It was yesterday. Wait, what's today's date? Today's the 27th, right?
I think so. Yeah, today's the 27th.
Okay, continue. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
I'm making sure that I got the date right for the...
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's Slump Busters for you. Hope that gave you some good info. And then we're going to move on to buy low trades. So we're going to
Okay, real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just the end of the second in that game. So it's still in that game first.
Okay.
So 11 minutes.
So you were right on that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to verify for the listeners.
Yeah, for the listeners. And then we're moving on to buy low trades here. We'll start it off with Mike Smith. What do you think, Jake? You think he's worth a buy low?
He was on my list, and then I put him on here because I wanted to ask you your expert opinion on if he's a buy low or a drop. I mean, if you own him, is he worth dropping, or is he?
Yeah.
You can't really sell him, so if you're another team, he's a buy low, I guess, because he's a starter on a good team. But he's been kind of trash.
You dropped him. He's not doing much. My goodness, look at these numbers.
I know. I dropped him for the upset of Binnington, but
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would probably be dropping him with that. He did terrible against Minnesota, did pretty bad against Tampa Bay, didn't do great against Carolina.
Yeah, is the other goalie taking over?
I don't know.
They are getting wins now. They need to get the wins.
That's by far the worst part of Edmonton is their goaltending for sure. They don't have great goaltending from anybody. So it's just they're going to get wins, but they give up a lot of goals. So Edmonton just has to outscore everybody by a lot, because they're going to give up 4 goals a game. So Edmonton has to score 5 goals a game, and they're an amazing offense, but that's just hard to do no matter who you are.
Koskinen against the Flames had 10 fantasy points, .936 save percentage, 44 saves.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe.
So is he taking the spot?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe you go with Koskinen. Yeah,
we're just going to split both of them, I think.
You could buy low on Mike Smith because this is pretty low, but I think I would just be staying away from him for now.
Yeah. Add him to your watch list when he's dropped.
Definitely add him to the watch list for sure.
He's going to be dropped after this week. It was a bad week.
Yeah. And then next on buy low, Andre Palat. Only 3 points in his last 10 games, but he's getting good ice time. He's on that first line. He should start performing better. I would be putting in a trade offer for Palat or Cirelli. Same thing. 1 point in his last 5 games. Usually gets really good peripheral stats too. Like Cirelli's usually very good in like a categories league or any kind of
Okay.
banger league or anything like that. He's getting good ice time as well. He should start performing better. I'd be interested in Cirelli or Palat if you're looking for a Lightning player that's kind of struggling lately.
Okay.
Send an offer, and I think most people would listen for those two guys. They're not like, you know, they're not like league winning players. I just think they could help you if you have a deep team,
Mm-hmm.
where you could take a chance on something like that. And then lastly on buy low, Miro Heiskanen, the young defenseman on Dallas, 2 points the last 2 weeks. Not scoring like you think he would as the number one defenseman on that team, but he's getting a
Mm-hmm.
ton of ice time. He's getting like 24 plus minutes a game and power play time. He's like the quarterback of that power play. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion, before points start coming for him like they were at the beginning of the year. He was getting a shit ton of points,
Mm-hmm.
looking like the steal of the draft defenseman. So I just think he could get back to that. I mean, he's everything that you can look at tells you that he should be scoring more. There's nothing that like pops off the sheet, any kind of stat or anything where you're like, it just seems like he's just getting unlucky, you know? So I
Gotcha.
would I
Okay.
would be interested in trading for that. You could potentially get a top 20 defenseman over like from now to the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we'll move on to sell high. Cole Caulfield, because this is the Cole Caulfield episode.
Oh my
Um,
God.
I think just because he was in the AHL for 2 months, not contributing to anybody's fantasy team. Um, I think that 2 good weeks definitely would be enough to be able to use him in a trade for something. Unless you think he's going to keep it up, which he definitely could.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving him the opportunity, and we just got to see if Cole Caulfield's going to, keep running with it or not. But I think you definitely want to start dangling him out there in offers just because there is a lot of risk with it because he was in the AHL for 2 months, had a terrible start to the season. I think there just is a little bit more to worry about than I normally tend to feel comfortable with. So I think
Okay.
if you can, you should be able to trade him for anything, like for something pretty decent right now. So I would definitely try that. And if not, just keep him and enjoy the benefits of making one of the better pickups of the last couple of weeks. So, just see what you can get. Dangle him out there, see if anybody nibbles.
For sure.
And then Tage Thompson on Buffalo, 11 points in his last 10 games. He's on a heater and he's Buffalo's leading scorer. I don't think he's going to keep all that up, and Buffalo's just not a great team. So that leaves me a little nervous. But, I mean, so far, he's been great. So, like, similarly to Coffield, but except there's a lot more to look at, a lot more consistency with Tage Thompson. Like, he's got, like, a month plus of pretty good play to look at. So I think he could
Mm-hmm.
definitely get you something if you're just worried about like Buffalo keeping it up or, whatever, but pretty good player. You should be okay if you keep him, but I think you should be dangling him out there to see what you can get to upgrade. And then the biggest sell high. This is the highest of high sell highs. Matt Zuccarello has 11 points in his last 8 games. This dude has no business scoring like this. I wouldn't bank on it continuing, although he's putting up gaudy numbers the last few weeks. I don't trust it. Zuccarello has burned me before. I picked him up last year when he did something similar to this, and he fell off a freaking cliff after a while and gave me absolutely nothing. So I would
Okay.
not trust it at all. It seems like this is what Zuccarello does most years. He's a very streaky guy. He'll go on one very big hot streak that makes his numbers look good at the end of the year, but most of like 2/3 of the year, he doesn't do much at all. So that's just kind of the player he is. So I would definitely be ahead of this right now and be trying to trade him for something because he looks like a great player right now, and I don't think that's going to continue.
Okay.
And
For
then
sure.
lastly,
I got one too when you're
okay.
done.
Yeah. So, my last one, Elias Patterson. We've been talking about him, how he had one of the biggest slumps to start the year, and now he's like having one of the biggest breakouts of the last like 2 weeks. I would, just because of that alone, I would definitely be trying to see what I could get for him right now, because he's looking so great. I think that he has that name value. He's a young player that a lot of people picked for a breakout season. I think that a lot of people would be interested in him, especially with how he's looked the last couple of weeks. I think he could get you a decent amount himself. So right now, if you own him, I would definitely be trying to do that. And then what do you got for me, Jake?
I just want to see if you would sell high. Yeah, I just want to see if you would sell high on Maurice Seider. The last 2 weeks, he's averaging 7.5. Like, that's obviously unsustainable.
Yeah, I would.
High minutes, getting like an assist a game or 2 assists a game almost.
Yeah.
The past 6 games.
Yeah, because he's a rookie, I would definitely put him on the list as well.
But he's the number 7 defenseman. I don't know.
Yeah,
You would have to go. You would have to be going for like a top 5 defenseman, I think. Or
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. It's a tough one, but like
I think I'd put him on there.
He can't keep that up. It's a sell high. You're selling high to get another more established player.
Yeah,
that's done it more than 1 year. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
See if you can get anything, because he's not going to keep this up.
Yeah, he's still probably going to play good. So like you know, but you just get somebody that maybe more name value or something. You know, somebody that you trust.
Yeah, like
a little more.
I mean, like a guy like Adam Fox is slumping right now.
Yeah, that might be
swap
decent.
those, like, because Adam Fox is the number 6 defenseman, Seider's number 7. I mean, if you could swap that somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe you add a little cheddar in there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a little cheddar wheezy.
Yeah. You throw in, like, Caufield. Would somebody take that? You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, interesting stuff to
Would
think
you take
about,
that if you had Fox?
If I had Fox,
would you take Seider and Coffield?
Probably not.
Okay. Gotcha.
I probably wouldn't, because I know Fox. I know what Fox can do, and I'm taking on 2 rookies. I probably wouldn't do that.
Okay. So it'd have to be Seider and somebody else?
It would have to be Caufield and somebody else, or Seider and somebody else, but I wouldn't take for the 2 rookies. That would just, I don't think that would be a great trade.
Would you take Seider? I'm just thinking of...
No, I know.
You're
I'm
pretending to be the Fox owner.
Yeah.
Seider, would you take Seider and Pierre-Luc Dubois?
I might take that. I think, yeah. I'd take that.
Or like Seider and Kyrou, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I just wouldn't give up Adam Fox, who was last year's number 1 defenseman, in a top 10 again this year for 2 rookies. You know, I just wouldn't do that, no matter how good the rookies are doing.
Yeah,
just because I don't know if I would keep a rookie, you know, and I'm giving up a keeper and Adam Fox.
Yeah. Well, if you're not in a keeper league, maybe you think
even same thing. Well, I don't know. Maybe I would consider it a little more if it was just a redraft league. Maybe I would think about it a few seconds longer, but I still might not.
Here's a good question.
Yeah.
For keepers league owners, would you keep Seider if you have limited spots?
Honestly, I've been thinking about that too. Not for Seider specifically, but like, would I keep a rookie that's doing really, like, had a great year?
Yeah, and you could have him for 10 years, you know?
Yeah,
if you kept him. Yeah.
I think Seider is putting himself into at least into the discussion, or at least making you think about it a little bit, you know. I think
totally agree.
He'll definitely be in the decision making at the end of the year for keeper leagues.
Yeah, if we had more than 4 spots, I would, like, if we had 6 spots, he'd be a keeper. But since we only have 4,
because I think I could see him being like a 4th round pick in next year's draft. You know, 4th or 5th round pick. So he does enter that keeper discussions. So just depends on if you think he's going to be like the NHL's like next Victor Hedman over the next 10 years, you know?
Or 15, yeah.
Yeah. So
could you imagine you're set in hockey for 15 years of your own life? Just like
that's how I felt about getting Austin Matthews in only like his 3rd year, and then we started a keeper league.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, anyways.
So I would have put Adam Fox on buy low, but just because he is so, like, highly regarded, I don't think anybody would That's why I was not putting him there, but that's another guy you could go after and buy low.
He'll probably be.
You would have to offer a shit ton though. Still,
he'll be on Slump Busters next week.
Yeah, probably. You're right.
So now we'll move on to Scoop 'em Up, everybody. Because it's the Cole Caufield episode, obviously, Cole Caufield, Scoop 'em Up.
Sir.
You don't even have to think about it. If you have a spot, go pick him up. And then Michael Bunting, who we talked about at the beginning of the episode. I would take a chance on him right now just because he looks like he's getting some power play time, and he might be playing on that first line a little bit with Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't, like, everybody wants a piece of that action.
Yeah.
And then Zach Parise, I think he's worth a stream at least right now. He's scoring. Looks like he's doing pretty well. I'd take a chance on it, and then, worst comes to worst, you drop him by midweek if he's not doing anything after a couple games. I mean, it's not a real high risk thing to just add Parise right now while he's scoring. And then we've mentioned this guy a lot over this season, Robert Thomas. He's still incredibly low owned for somebody who's almost a point per game player. I'd be picking him up right away. He's still playing on that first line with Tarasenko and Buchnevich. They're looking great.
Mm-hmm.
If he's available in your league, you just got to add him. I just don't get why he's not getting added more. And then if you're looking for a goalie, I still think he hasn't been doing amazing, but Laurent Brossoit is still the starting goalie right now in Vegas. Pick him up. He's on a great team. He's going to get you some wins. Hasn't been looking amazing, but you don't often find a starting goalie on a good team, though, that can be capable of something really good. So I think you can consider still picking up Laurent Brossoit.
Okay.
And then Jacob Chikrin, definitely think he's worth the pickup right now if he's available. I'm going to go take a look when this episode's over.
I grabbed him.
Oh, you fucker. And then Matt Waugh, 5 average in the last 7, 3 average on the season, and in our league is a kind of a hits league. Definitely be kind of interested in that.
Yeah, I wanted you to look at him if you had time.
Yeah, I've been seeing this guy pop up here.
He just looks pretty good, and if you're low on defensemen, I don't know.
Yeah, if you really need defense and you want somebody who's kind of looking decent over the last couple of weeks, like if you have Zach Warrenski, he just went down for we don't know how long. You can maybe pick up a young guy like this, give him a chance. Might be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a couple goalies here. Jordan Binnington, if he's available, definitely should be scooped up. If he's had 2 good games in a row now, maybe he's putting something together. Maybe it'll at least be more of a 50-50 with Husso. So if that's the case, I think Binnington should definitely be owned. And then Jake Ottinger should definitely be picked up. He's unquestionably the starter now on Dallas. He should be owned. Dallas is a good team. He's getting a ton of minutes. He's getting a ton of saves. He's getting some wins. It's no question he should be owned. And then Sam Mottenbolt continues to go off. He's a hot and cold guy, though. So he'll put up
his first shutout.
Yeah, he'll put up great games, and then he'll have some duds in there too. So you just gotta, if you are gonna pick him up, just kind of play matchups with him. I feel like, but he's definitely one of those flashy goalies that come around every so often. So, if you need some goalies, I think these 4 guys we mentioned, Brossoit, Binnington, Ottinger, Mottenbolt, I don't think you could go wrong with any of those guys. So,
for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, if you got nothing else,
no,
that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for listening. We obviously hope we were able to help you once again, make some tough decisions and, consider some trades or just look at things maybe a little differently than you thought. This is a good place to go for any of your hockey questions. So thank you so much for listening. And if you want to just go give us a follow on our social media, we want to start getting that popping off. We're over on Facebook, facebook.com/Garden of Sports Podcast. We're on Instagram too, instagram.com/Garden of Sports. And also we're on Twitter, twitter.com/GOSPod2021. Go over there and any of those 3 places. You definitely won't regret it. It'll be a good time. Come hang out, and we'll catch you all next week. Take care.
Yeah, thanks everyone.